This concludes our agreement. Sign here, and the property is yours, free and clear.
Pastor Dominic Osei slides the title deed across the glass desk with one finger. He does not look at the woman sitting across from him. He does not need to. His voice is the kind that has never had to rise. Smooth, warm, and completely certain of itself, the way only men who have never been refused anything speak. "Sister Nkechi," he says, "God told me specifically about this land. He showed me your name." The air conditioning in his private office on the third floor of the Lighthouse Cathedral complex hums at exactly 19 degrees. Outside, through the floor-to-ceiling tinted window, Victoria Island gleams, the lagoon flat and silver, the construction cranes still. Nkechi Odu's hands rest in her lap. She's wearing her good dress, the one she saves for Sundays and interviews. Her daughter's school fees are already 3 months late. On the desk, between them, a check, her check, the last thing in her account, waits to become someone else's legacy. But what Pastor Dominic did not know was, where are you watching from right now? A late-night room, a commute, a lunch break you needed to escape into? Because what you are about to see is not extraordinary. It happens in the most beautiful buildings in our cities, behind the most polished doors, with the most rehearsed smiles. A woman trusted a man who wore God's name like a designer suit, and she paid that trust with everything she had. Stay with me. This story will disturb you. It should. And if someone in your life is standing exactly where Nkechi stood, please share this before they hand over that check. Subscribe so you never miss a story like this one. Nkechi Odu has worked at Meridian Capital Group for 6 years, the last 2 as a senior accounts analyst on the 12th floor of Meridian Tower on Adeola Odeku Street. She is not the kind of woman anyone writes profiles about. She is the kind of woman who writes the numbers that make other people's profiles look good. Her desk sits in the interior of the open-plan floor, not near the window, a detail that some of her colleagues consider significant, though they would never say so directly. She arrives every morning at 7:48, 15 minutes before her official start time, because she likes the quiet of the floor before the coffee machine begins its politics. She greets the security guard at the ground floor barrier, Emmanuel, by name. She has known his daughter's name for 2 years. He has a photograph of the girl on the inside of his booth that Nkechi once admired, and since then, every morning, he waves her through before she reaches the turnstile. This is not a small thing. The people who notice it, and some do, file it away in the category of things that make them uneasy about themselves. Nkechi eats alone in the company cafeteria most days, not because she is antisocial, but because the social arithmetic of the 12th floor is exhausting in a way she has never been able to fully explain. There are groups here that formed in the first year and calcified. She arrived as a lateral hire from a smaller firm, and the unspoken welcome was, "You are good, but you are not one of us yet." 6 years later, the word "yet" has never resolved itself into anything. She has covered for Chiamaka 3 times, processing reports under her own login when Chiamaka's numbers did not reconcile, staying late, absorbing the hours without complaint. Chiamaka brings Nkechi a Zobo drink every birthday and considers them close. Nkechi knows better, but accepts it, because she is the kind of woman who understands that some debts will not be repaid, and does not require them to be. This is her dignity. It is also, eventually, her vulnerability. The thing she trusts, that she should not, is the church. Not blindly. She is not naive. She has been attending Lighthouse Cathedral for 4 years, ever since the company moved her apartment budget, and she found herself renting a 2-bedroom in Ikoi that felt too large and too quiet for one person and a 9-year-old. The church filled the silence. She liked the choir. She liked that the sermons on Sunday seemed to address with uncanny accuracy the specific exhaustion of being a single working mother in a city that was designed for people in pairs. She liked eventually Pastor Dominic, his ease, his apparent knowledge of exactly what Scripture meant for someone in her precise situation. She trusted this, the way people trust anything that seems to understand them without being asked. That trust has a price she has not yet been shown. The first sign arrives on a Tuesday. Nkechi opens her laptop at 7:48 and finds an email in her sent folder that she did not send. It is addressed to Felix Ade Williams, the head of compliance, and the subject line reads, "Flagging internal discrepancy, Q3 Meridian Retail Portfolio." The email is brief. It references a discrepancy in the Q3 figures, the Meridian retail account, and suggests, in careful language, that the error may be attributable to deliberate misreporting. The tone is professional, the signature is hers. She reads it twice, 3 times, sitting very still while the floor around her begins its morning noise. She did not write this. She knows she did not write this the way she knows her own heartbeat. But the email exists, timestamped at 11:47 p.m. the previous night from her corporate address, and Felix Ade Williams has already opened it. The read receipt arrived at 6:09 a.m. She does not call IT immediately. This is not because she is slow. It is because she understands with the cold intelligence of someone who has spent 6 years watching the social machinery of a corporate floor that the moment she raises this, she will be in the middle of something she cannot see the shape of yet. She closes the laptop. She goes to get a coffee she does not want. She stands at the machine for 4 minutes watching the cup fill, and she does the kind of math that has nothing to do with numbers. Felix Ade Williams's office is on the 14th floor. She has spoken to him perhaps 7 times in 6 years. He is cordial in the detached way of men who are never not measuring. At 9:15, her phone buzzes with a calendar invite from her PA. Meeting request. Accounts query. Thursday, 2 p.m. She accepts it. Her hand is steady. Her chest is not. She goes back to her desk and opens the Meridian retail portfolio. The Q3 numbers look exactly as she left them. There is nothing wrong. There is, as far as she can determine, no discrepancy to flag, which means whoever sent that email invented one, and they had access to her account, and they chose a Tuesday night when she was at the midweek service at Lighthouse Cathedral, 45 minutes from this building, singing with people she thought were her community. She does not know who yet. The not knowing is the first kind of dread. She goes back to her work. She does her job. That evening, she picks up her daughter Zara, not that Zara, this Zara, 9 years old, with her father's forehead and her grandmother's stubbornness, from school 20 minutes late because she stayed to read through 3 months of scent items. She found nothing else. She tells her daughter they will have rice and stew tonight.
Mommy,
Zara
please,
asks
can
for
I
fried
have fried
plantain,
plantain?
and Kechi says yes. She does not tell her daughter that something has already begun that she cannot stop, only survive. Thursday arrives with the precise cruelty of things that cannot be postponed. The meeting with Felix Ade Williams is not what she expected, which is to say, it is worse. When she arrives at the 14th floor, she finds that the meeting is not in his office, but in Conference Room B, the glass-walled room that faces the open-plan floor, the one used for disciplinary conversations, because everyone can see in, but no one can hear. 3 people are already sitting. Felix, arms folded across his chest with the patience of a man holding a door open for someone he intends to close it on. Chiamaka, who looks at the table rather than at Nkechi when she enters, and a woman from HR named Bola, who has a notepad open and a pen that she clicks once as Nkechi sits. "Thank you for coming," Felix says, as though she had a choice. "We received your email last Thursday. We've since done a preliminary review of the Q3 Meridian retail portfolio, and I have to say, Nkechi, what we found was concerning." "I didn't send that email," she says. The room is glass. Through the wall, she can see 3 colleagues who have arranged themselves with the elaborate casualness of people who were told something was happening in conference room B and came to sit near it. She watches one of them pretend to type. Felix opens a folder. Inside are printed pages, the portfolio, but not her version. A version where certain cells have been altered, certain totals shifted in ways that suggest, if you are not looking closely, that figures were inflated for the Adesela sub-account. The changes are subtle. They are also not subtle enough to miss if you created the document yourself and know where every number came from. "This is not the file I submitted," she says. Her voice is level. She has chosen level the way you choose a coat before a storm, deliberately, knowing it will be tested. "The metadata on this file shows your login credentials," Bola says. "What the eye sees for another, it cannot unsee for itself." The Yoruba sits somewhere behind Nkechi's sternum, something her mother used to say. She does not speak it aloud. She looks at Chiamaka. Chiamaka is studying the table with the focus of someone reading scripture. "I would like to see the metadata," Nkechi says. "We can arrange that," Felix says. "In the meantime, we're placing you on administrative leave pending investigation." He says it the way he says most things, quietly, firmly, with the practiced gentleness of a man delivering consequences he finds mildly distasteful, but entirely justified. "I'm sorry it's come to this." She stands. She does not tip the chair. She does not raise her voice. The people visible through the glass wall watch her walk out with a composure so absolute that one of them, a junior analyst named Tunde, who has always been a little afraid of her, will later describe it as the most frightening thing he has seen in 4 years at Meridian. He will tell his wife this at dinner. He will not be able to explain exactly why. She hands in her access card at the ground floor. Emmanuel is not at his booth. He has been moved to a different station. She does not find out until later that this was deliberate, so she would not have to face him on the way out. This small mercy belongs to no one. She stands in the lobby of Meridian Tower, marble floor, the company logo in brushed gold above the entrance, the revolving doors cycling people in and out with mechanical indifference. And she does not know for a moment which direction is out. She goes out. There is a woman on the 7th floor of the Lighthouse Cathedral complex named Adara Mensah. She is Pastor Dominic's personal assistant, his second PA technically, the one who handles the things the first PA is not supposed to know about. Adara has worked in this role for 18 months. She is 26. She has a diploma in business administration from a private polytechnic in Lekki and a younger brother in university in Enugu, whose fees she pays every semester. And this is the primary reason she has stayed in a job that has, over those 18 months, shown her things she cannot unsee. She knows about the land. She processed the title deed transfer herself. Nkechi Odu is one of 11 congregants who have signed over assets to the Lighthouse Outreach and Development Foundation, an entity registered to an address on Uzunba Mbadiwe Avenue that Adara found when she looked carefully one evening, shares a registration number with a private property holding company in Pastor Dominic's wife's maiden name. She knows about the school fees. The Covenant Education Seed Fund, which collected 400,000 naira in 3 separate faith deposits over 8 months, with a receipted promise of a scholarship placement at one of the French immersion primary schools in Lekki Phase 1. Adara processed those receipts. She has copies. She also knows about Meridian Capital. She knows because she overheard a phone call. Not deliberately, she had knocked on the inner office door to deliver a printed schedule, and the door opened further than she intended, and she heard Pastor Dominic say into his phone, "The IT access is already arranged. Tunde handles these things cleanly. She won't be able to prove anything from the outside." The name Tunde, not the Tunde from Meridian's floor, a different Tunde, a man who does digital work, meant nothing to her at the time. It means everything now. Adara has sat with this knowledge for 3 weeks. She has told herself it is not her business. She has told herself that her brother's fees are due in 6 weeks. She has told herself that Pastor Dominic has never directly harmed her, that she is a tool in a machine she did not design. All of these things are true. None of them help her sleep. The decision does not arrive in words. It arrives in a moment that is almost ordinary. She is filing printed bank statements, the foundation's accounts, when she realizes that her hands have stopped moving. They are resting on the paper. She is looking out the window. Below, on Uzumba Mbadiwe, a yellow bus is stuck in traffic, and 3 men are pushing a handcart through the gap between it and the curb. The ordinary world moving at its ordinary pace. Her hands, on the paper, begin to photograph the page. Her phone is in her pocket. She photographs 12 pages before she hears the lift door open on the floor below her, and she stops. She sends the images to her own Gmail, an account she created the previous week on a device she bought cash from a phone seller in Balagan Market. Then she continues filing. If you have stayed with this story this far, and I know you have because you feel what Adara is carrying right now, then subscribe to this channel. There are more stories here of people who stayed quiet too long and people who finally did not. Press that button before we go further, because what comes next cannot be undone. The third blow falls on a Saturday morning. Nkechi is in her apartment in Ikoyi when her phone begins to move in a way that is different from ordinary notifications. The rapid, compounding vibration of multiple messages arriving from multiple sources at once. She is still in her night clothes. She has just made tea. Her daughter is asleep. She picks up the phone and opens WhatsApp. The Meridian Staff and Family Group, a group she has been a member of for 4 years, created ostensibly for company announcements and birthday wishes, has a new message from a number she does not recognize, added to the group minutes ago. The message is a screenshot. 2 screenshots, actually. The first is a photograph of a document on Meridian Capital letterhead, an HR report dated 3 days ago, summarizing the findings of a preliminary investigation into accounts manipulation by a senior analyst. Her name is in it. The second screenshot is something else entirely. It is a photograph of a financial statement, a personal one, showing a deposit of 1.2 million naira into an account held in her name, dated the same week as the Q3 Meridian retail report. She has never seen this document. She does not have an account that received this deposit, but the account number, she will later discover, is only 2 digits different from her actual account, close enough to look like hers to anyone reading quickly in a group of 234 people. In the 17 minutes before the group admin removes the messages, 41 people have seen them. By the time they are deleted, they have been screenshotted again by at least 9. By evening, the screenshots are in 3 other groups she is not a member of. By Monday morning, the HR department receives 4 separate emails from staff members requesting clarification. She sits on the kitchen floor. Not because her legs give way. She does not let her legs give way. She sits because standing requires a purpose, and she has not yet located one. The tea goes cold beside her. From the bedroom, she hears her daughter shift and sleep, that small animal sound of a child resettling, and it is this, only this, that keeps her on the correct side of something she cannot name. She calls her lawyer. She gets voicemail. She calls again. Voicemail. She calls a third number, a woman named Bisi, who handled her late husband's estate and knows her circumstances, and Bisi answers on the second ring and says, "I heard. Don't say anything publicly. Don't respond to anything. Come to my office Monday morning, 7 a.m. Then she says, quietly, "Nkechi, hold." not a command, an instruction from one woman who has stood in rooms like this to another. She holds. She does not post anything. She does not defend herself in any group. She does not call anyone from the church, not yet, because some part of her is still not ready to make that connection fully real. She charges her phone. She makes more tea. She wakes her daughter at 8 and makes akara for breakfast, standing at the stove with her back straight, the oil popping and hissing in the pan, the morning light flat and gray through the kitchen window. Outside, Victoria Island moves through its Saturday routines. Below her building, a man washes a white G-Wagon in the car park with the focused attention of someone for whom the surface of things is all that matters. She watches him from the window. The pan spits oil. She does not flinch. Water that has cooled after boiling does not lose what the heat made of it. The proverb arrives the way they always arrive, not chosen, not deployed, just present. She sets the plate in front of her daughter and sits down across from her and watches the girl eat, and something in her chest shifts. Not softens, not breaks, shifts, the way a load shifts on a back when the carrier adjusts their footing to carry it better. She decides, there at the table, over akara and cold Milo, that she is not going to lose this. Monday comes. BC's office is on the 4th floor of a building on Akin Adesola Street. Not ostentatious, the kind of chambers that charges what it is worth and does not need to advertise. She meets Nkechi at 6:55 and has coffee waiting. Nkechi brings the documents she has. Printed bank statements, the original Q3 file saved on a personal hard drive with timestamps, the receipts from the Covenant Education Seed Fund, the title deed she signed over. She has kept a copy of everything, a habit from years of being the woman who processes numbers for other people's glory. BC spreads them on the table and says nothing for 6 minutes. Then, there is someone inside who has to help us, or none of this moves fast enough. Nkechi understands. That evening, Adaora Mensah receives a message from a number she does not know. It says only, "You processed the foundation accounts. We know you know. We are not asking you to be brave. We are asking you to decide." She stares at the message for 2 hours. She calls her brother in Enugu. He picks up and says, "Sister, how?" The way he always does. Casual, warm, the voice of the entire reason she has stayed silent this long. She tells him she is fine. She asks how his studies are going. He talks for 8 minutes about a lecturer who set an impossible exam paper and a girl in his class who is very beautiful and troublesome. She listens to it all. Then she says, "Study well. Everything will sort." She ends the call. She opens her Gmail. She downloads the 12 photographs she took of the foundation bank statements and emails them to the number that messaged her with a PDF she has also kept, a copy of the foundation's registration documents, the one with the property holding company, the one with the address. Then she goes to sleep. She does not sleep well, but she sleeps. 3 weeks later, the annual general meeting of the Lighthouse Cathedral Foundation is held in the Grand Meridian Hall of the Eco Hotel on Victoria Island. This is not a small gathering. Pastor Dominic has ensured that the event has the visual language of institutional legitimacy, round tables dressed in ivory linen, a podium with the foundation's logo backlit behind it, a sound system that cost more than some people's cars, a guest list that includes 2 state commissioners, a retired judge, and the wife of a senator who attends Lighthouse for reasons that have nothing to do with Scripture. There is a cocktail reception first. The waitstaff move between the tables with quiet precision. The room smells of air conditioning and expensive cologne, and the kind of expectation that comes from people who have been told something significant will be announced tonight. Pastor Dominic is at the podium by 7:30. He is wearing a cream-colored agbada that fits him with the precision of a thing made specifically to be seen from a distance, and he is in full command of the room's attention, the practiced ease of a man who knows that eyes on him equals safety, and safety has been his primary project for 15 years. He begins to speak. He speaks about the Foundation's growth. He speaks about the Covenant Education Initiative. He speaks about the land acquisition in Sangotedo, a word that arrives in the room and causes no ripples, because no one present, except one woman seated at table 9 near the left exit, knows that Nkechi Odu's family land was registered there before a title deed transfer was processed and witnessed and filed. Nkechi is not supposed to be here. She is here anyway. Beside her, 3 seats apart, is Adara Mensah, wearing a navy dress and a composed expression that requires the full architectural strength of her 26 years to maintain. At 7:47, the door at the rear of the hall opens. 2 men enter. They are not in uniform. They carry no visible equipment. One of them is a man Nkechi has never seen before, a senior official from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Lagos Zone, invited by BC through a contact that cost BC a favor she had been holding for 3 years. The other is a Meridian Capital executive she knows well, Remy Afolabi, Deputy Managing Director, who has been briefed by a person on the 14th floor who reviewed the original metadata on the manipulated file and found in the server logs an access from an IP address registered to an internet cafe in Igboseri Road, far from Nkechi Odu's apartment in Ikoyi, and at a time when her phone's GPS placed her in the Lighthouse Cathedral midweek. Remy Afolabi, to his credit, took 40 minutes with this information and then made a phone call. He is here now. Both men move without hurry toward the front of the hall. Pastor Dominic sees them at 7:49. Something crosses his face. Not fear, not yet. Something closer to the recalibration of a man whose internal models of safety are rearranging. He does not stop speaking immediately. He finishes a sentence about God's faithfulness in this season. Then he stops. The EFCC official reaches the podium and places a document on the lectern. He does not use the microphone. He speaks quietly to Pastor Dominic. The microphone picks up 3 words: "We have confirmation." The room reacts as rooms do to things that are happening faster than they can process, slowly, individually, from the outside in. The commissioner's wife sets down her glass of water. She does not look at it. She looks at the podium. The retired judge at table 4 turns his chair by 3 degrees toward the front without appearing to realize he has done it. A woman at table 2 opens her mouth and does not close it. The waitstaff have stopped moving. Emmanuel, yes, Emmanuel, the same Emmanuel from the Meridian Tower ground floor, who is here tonight because he is a member of Lighthouse Cathedral and has attended for 7 years, stands near the service door with a tray in his hands that he does not put down. He looks at Nkechi. He has been wondering for 3 weeks what happened. Now he is beginning to understand. Adara stands up. She does not need to be dramatic. She simply stands, and in a room where everyone else is frozen or seated, standing is the most significant action available. She walks to the front. In her hand is a tablet. On the tablet is a PDF. The foundation registration documents, the bank statements, the property holding company connection, displayed large enough to be projected if one were to connect it to the screen behind the podium, which one of the EFCC officials' colleagues is now doing. The document appears on the backlit screen behind Pastor Dominic. His name, the foundation's name, the property company's name, the transfer amounts. 11 transfers with dates and account numbers. The fourth entry is Nkechi Odu, 1.4 million naira, across multiple transactions, with a note in the reference field that reads, with chilling simplicity, LD Sangotedo, October. Pastor Dominic grips the sides of the lectern. His hands are visible to the front 5 tables. His hands are looking for something, the edge of something solid, the edge of a script, the edge of a world in which he is still the man with the microphone. The ledge is gone. Remi Afolabi steps to the second microphone on the floor and introduces himself. He does not need long. He explains in the measured tone of a man who chooses each word with the care of a surgeon that Meridian Capital Group has concluded an internal investigation to a data security incident affecting a senior employee, that the investigation has determined the incident was externally orchestrated, that the employee in question has been fully reinstated with the company's unreserved apology, and that the company is cooperating fully with relevant authorities regarding the external actor or actors involved. He does not name anyone. He does not need to. Every person in the room who has interacted with Lighthouse Cathedral's leadership and Meridian Capital in the same sentence, and there are 4 of them seated at separate tables, does this arithmetic privately and arrives at the same answer. The senator's wife leaves at 8:03. Her driver is waiting. Pastor Dominic is still standing at the podium when the EFCC official places a hand on his arm, not roughly, with the neutral firmness of process. He does not resist. He does something more revealing. He looks around the room, for a supporter, for a face that will meet his, for a single person who will signal solidarity. The room gives him nothing but the sound of a microphone feeding back once, briefly, and then going quiet. He is guided, not dramatically, to the rear of the hall. Nkechi watches this from table 9. She does not look triumphant. She looks like a woman completing something she has been carrying for a long time and is only now setting down. The weight does not leave immediately. It never does. But she sets it down. The next 3 months moved differently than the years that preceded them. The EFCC investigation proceeds with the slowness of all formal processes, but it proceeds. BC manages it with the efficiency of someone who has always known that justice in this city is not absent, it is just expensive and slow, and you have to show up for it in the right rooms at the right times. The 11 title deed transfers are contested. 7 are reversed within 2 months, including Nkechi's. The land in Sangotedo, registered in her late father's name and transferred to her 3 years after his death, comes back. She stands on it one Sunday morning alone before the city is fully awake, in flat shoes and a dress she did not iron, and she does not say anything, because there is nothing to say that the ground doesn't already know. The Covenant Education Seed Fund is formally dissolved. The amounts collected, totaling 47 million naira across 5 years, are listed in the EFCC disclosure. Recovery will take longer. BC is not optimistic about recovery. Nkechi has accepted this with the pragmatism of someone who is rebuilding from what remains rather than mourning what cannot be retrieved. Her daughter is enrolled at the school in Lekki, not through a pastor's promise this time, but through an application Nkechi submitted herself, with results from an assessment the girl sat and passed on her own ability. The school sends a welcome letter with the child's name on it. Nkechi puts it on the refrigerator. At Meridian Capital, she returns on a Wednesday, not a triumphant Monday, a quiet Wednesday, because she asked for Wednesday, because she did not want the visual language of a return. There was a new nameplate on the door of a corner office on the 12th floor. The office has a window. She has been offered a promotion, associate director, the title she was passed over twice in 6 years, as part of the company's internal failing. She has accepted it. The window faces the lagoon. In the mornings, when the light comes in at the angle it comes in on clear days, it lands on the desk in a way that is neither dramatic nor symbolic. It is just light on a desk that belongs to her. Emmanuel, at the ground floor, has resumed his post. On her first morning back, she stops at his booth. He does not say much. Emmanuel rarely says much. He looks at her and nods once, the nod of a man who has worked a ground floor long enough to understand what it means when someone walks back in. She greets him by name. He waves her through before she reaches the turnstile. Adora Mensah is no longer employed at the Lighthouse Cathedral complex, which ceased operations formally in the second month. She applied to 3 companies and received 2 offers. She took the one that paid less, but was managed by a woman she met at a business forum who shook her hand and said, "Tell me what you can actually do." Her brother's fees were paid on time. She has not spoken publicly about what she saw or what she did. She doesn't need to. She did it. What you give to the one who deserves it is never lost. The proverb closes something. Not a wound, the city does not deal in easy closures, but it closes a chapter in the particular way chapters close when justice has moved through a room and left behind only what was real. On a Thursday in November, Nkechi Odu rides the elevator to the 12th floor of Meridian Tower, presses the button without thinking, and stands in the mirrored interior as the floors count upward. A woman with a new keycard, a window, a daughter who passed her own assessments, and land that is once again in her name. She adjusts the strap of her bag on her shoulder, and the elevator opens, and she walks out. If you have been watching this from a place where you know someone like Nkechi, someone who trusted the wrong institution, the wrong man, the wrong smile, share this story before you do anything else. Not for this channel, for them. And Adora, the woman who stood up, what did her courage cost her? Was it worth it? Leave your answer in the comments. I read every one. If this story stayed with you, the subscribe button is right there. Every story we tell here is about people who did not give up, even when the building they were in felt like it was built specifically to swallow them. We tell these stories so they are never forgotten. Join us for the next one.